job, anxiety.
Right?
I stepped back, you
Yes.
stepped in, you got Riley back on track, now I'm ready to step back.
Stop controlling
That was
Riley,
just part one
please.
of my plan.
There's a part 2?
Exactly.
A good plan has many parts, Joy.
See, another sign of complexity.
Split yourselves down the middle. Team 1 on the right, team 2 on the left.
Does that mean that Riley?
We're talking about the same team, right?
Right.
Okay, but
Val wants us! But we promised Bree and Grace.
Joy,
Oh.
we have to plan for the future.
this is very difficult. This is so difficult. Okay.
Come on, Riley, move. Move those
She's not
feet.
moving.
She made a promise to her friends.
Wow.
She's not gonna break it.
Very good
Oh, you're so
representation.
right, Joy.
You did not. You.
No, you can't have that.
Can
Put
you
that
even do
back.
that? Oh, okay. Oh yes, puberty has officially begun as the inner conflict between Riley's values and her growing desire to fit in with the new crowd has surfaced. This is a very vulnerable time for all kids. However, there's almost no discussion how at some point it will feel as if you have to choose between who you are and being liked, as if the two are mutually exclusive. And if nobody told you, let me tell you. This conflict happens because it's natural and it's needed, not because there's something wrong with you, okay? That's simply called social anxiety. However, Riley doesn't initially move because her sense of self anchors her to her promise and loyalty to her friends, and this is a representation of her core beliefs and integrity. Yet anxiety wants to go against those, as she feels it's detrimental for Riley to hold on to old school beliefs, but this is more than just beliefs. So because anxiety is invalidated, she also invalidates Riley's sense of self, basically. The fact that her sense of self is literally shattered in this scene is a powerful metaphor for how acting against who we really are starts the process of self-destruction. It's a reminder that when we make choices based on fear or anxiety or the need for social approval, we begin to break away from our true identity.
Joy, I don't mean to overstep, but it has to be done.
Okay. Oh my god. Oh. That just happened. You gotta love the irony of how Joy invented a mechanism to suppress uncomfortable memories to keep Riley happy, and how that very same mechanism is now used by anxiety to suppress something much deeper. It's a full circle moment that shows how unhealthy coping mechanisms, like emotional suppression, can be co-opted by other emotions in even more damaging and complex ways. That's why parenting is so important. Make no mistake, suppression doesn't solve emotional challenges, it only buries them deeper, and someday, somehow, they will turn against you. The fact we have this sense of self in the back of the mind might symbolize how Riley is neglecting her authentic self. Therefore, a huge disconnection between her identity and values has been produced. This means that by pushing her sense of self into the background, anxiety has taken full control, being the only one making the decisions now.
I know change is scary, but what?
Okay, change is definitely scary, but this... Riley, at least a conversation.
That is not Riley.
I know. It's a better Riley.
A Riley who
A
won't be
better Riley.
alone next year.
Buckle up, guys, because another ego restructuring has started. So this is a classic situation when there's no real right and wrong decision. Riley has the right to entertain old and new friends however she pleases, but what makes it unhealthy is the intention behind it. Her intention isn't to connect or foster true bonds right now, but to hide her fear and act on pressure. That's why she needs an ego restructuring to begin with, because her desires and values seem to be in conflict, perhaps for the first time in her life. A very significant moment, in case you were wondering.
We build her a new sense of self. A brand new her.
Right, change everything about her. That's
Go down there with
the
that.
solution.
Dead flaming body.
I am truly sorry. I was so looking forward to working with you guys.
Then do it. Oh!
Riley's life is more complex now. It
yeah, I
requires
know.
more sophisticated emotions than all of you.
That's true.
You just aren't what she needs anymore, Joy.
Anxiety, where is this going?
Adam.
You can't just bottle us up.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Bottled up emotions. No, you're kidding me. Hey, at least they can breathe.
Varsity or until she turns 18 or maybe forever. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Maybe forever? Anxiety, that's not a good plan. So, now that Riley has pushed her sense of self in the background, anxiety has full control over her decisions. If you remember in the first movie, Joy says about sadness, I checked and there's nowhere for her to go. Which makes me understand that Joy, as controlling as she might be, was never in control of Riley the way anxiety is. And that's why we consider anxiety a more complex emotion. That's also why she's able to use the console better. Truth is, anxiety has access to tools and strategies that Joy simply simply didn't recognize or know how to use. The computer, which Joy mistook for a cup holder, is a perfect symbol of that. Another symbol is how anxiety explains how a good plan has many parts, referring to Joy's nature, which doesn't need long-term planning or risk assessment tools because her priority is to keep Riley feeling happy in the moment. And anxiety is really the only future-oriented emotion there.
Don't worry, Riley. You're in good hands.
I doubt it.
Everything about you.
Great. Everything.
How do we build a new Riley?
Not really.
It took them 13 years to build the old one.
Well,
Very good
news
question.
is we're not starting from scratch.
Right.
I want to plant.
If I'm a firehawk, I won't be alone.
And here we are. Oh, the first conditional thought, a trademark of anxiety-driven reasoning, really. Anxiety thrives on creating endless what-ifs, ongoing cycles of conditions that keep us trapped in the future, constantly thinking, if I do this, then I'll feel okay. Problem is, there's no limit of what-ifs, because there's no limit to imagination, and similarly, no amount of what-ifs will satisfy anxiety, which is why the goalpost always moves. Yes, today it's about making the team, but tomorrow, after I will make the team, it will be about, if I play well, they will like me. And once they like me, I start with the, if I don't make mistakes, I will be safe and will belong. And this continuous loop happens because rationally, there's always something more that needs to be achieved before we can allow ourselves to feel secure, loved, content, etc. This is why anxiety doesn't allow you to live in the present, by the way, because you always need to chase something in the future, something external like validation, love, attention, time. It's never internal. It's never about you, not truly. It's about others liking you, which is a great difference. The fact anxiety starts shaping Riley's beliefs highlights how anxiety traps us by leading us to believe that our emotional well-being is always just one more if away, but never in the present.
Why are
Good
we
morning.
up so early?
Because
we
anxiety.
need to speed things up, and that means we hit the ice early and practice like we've never practiced before.
Aren't we
it's
already
starting,
good at hockey?
isn't it?
Good.
Every time we miss, we skate a lap around the rink. Hockey is not a game, it is a sport.
It's both. Anxiety is not necessarily wrong. This is a great way to improve, but the fact that she's doing so out of desperation, out of fear.
That was amazing.
We need to be that good every
Yeah,
time. Let's run it again.
No, you cannot be that good every time. This is another unrealistic expectation. Riley waking up early to train isn't inherently bad because, anxiety in this case is pushing her to improve, which can be productive. However, as anxiety takes control and sees Riley getting better, it turns that progress into a rigid expectation, and that's the problem. Anxiety often drives us towards perfectionism by creating inflexible standards that ignore the reality of being human, really. No matter how skilled someone is, there will always be days off because we're humans and we're subjected to moods and to periods and, to life. Since the rest of Riley's emotions are bottled up, anxiety is operating solo, creating these new unbalanced goals. Without flexibility from emotions like joy or sadness, there's no counterbalance to remind Riley that it's okay to have days off and to make mistakes. This kind of pressure will eventually exhaust her because perfection is unattainable, and striving to meet impossible standards every day will drain her energy and motivation, creating in the end emotional burnout.
Hey, I see I'm not the only one who likes to start early.
You guys, it's
Hey, Val.
We have the same idea.
We're basically the same person. We're gonna be best friends.
That's
How long
cute.
have you been? I'm the same way.
Oh my gosh, she gets us.
See? I told the other girls you'd figure it out. You
There
get
you
what
go.
it takes to be the best.
Okay, that is... So this is a classic case of how external validation can reinforce unhealthy patterns, especially when it's given without truly understanding the full picture, which is something that happens very often between teens. In this case, Val's praise for Riley being the only one on the ice and the lack of deeper questions like, why are you up so early? Or do you always train like this? Reinforces the idea that Riley's anxious perfectionistic behavior is correct, but there's so much more at play here. This is actually a familiar dynamic for Riley. Her family also praises her for being happy, but without truly understanding if she's masking or if it's real. And this is a pattern many people fall into. They attract relationships or situations that mirror these early family dynamics. And this is why her emotions feel like Val gets us. This dynamic can trap Riley into thinking that anxiety's narrative is correct, further reinforcing the idea that she must continue pushing herself to be the best at all costs. Without someone to challenge or question those behaviors, Riley learns to trust her anxiety more and more, believing that as long as she receives praise or validation, she's on the right path. This is how external validation can lead someone deeper into anxiety-driven behaviors, even when those behaviors are ultimately unsustainable.
And then I tell anxiety, hey,
Yeah?
don't worry so much anymore. And she'll say, wow,
Groundbreaking.
I never thought of that before.
Yeah, I
Thank
never
you.
thought of that before.
Hug and become